Alright, g'day there, ladies and ledians. Welcome back to our Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers Remixed gameplay. I know it has been a while. Part of that was because of heat. I've had a few tech issues. I've also been kind of distracted. All of those are not the best excuse, but they kind of add up, you know. But, you know, we're back at it. It's nearly autumn, so it's cooling down. Tech issues are kind of resolved, and I'm no longer distracted. So, we're back. So let's get into it. I haven't updated the actual visual, like for the team in the top left. But I'll get around to it. I probably should have done something. But I didn't really know what. Like, maybe putting in the window. But I might need to, like, change things around. I don't know, do I, like, upgrade Zora? Because it kind of looks like an Umbreon. Like a shiny one. Like, it's hard to really tell that it's a Zora. Like, you can probably see some things about it, but it almost, like, from a distance, it looks like a Umbreon and a Flareon kind of combined. Alright, what's the best paying job we got? One gummy and Foggy First. Not interested. Ooh, gold ribbon, that's like 2,000. And a 300, neat. So Craig Coast doesn't seem that bad. Nothing over here. Alright. So, a Parasect and a Bonsai. As long as they're not ghost type, we should be fine. Yeah. Just double checking that OBS is recording, you know? And especially my voice. Alright. Should be good then. Now, we couldn't teach Energy Ball to Zoe, which is a bit annoying, but is whatever. Alright, get rid of that. One slash I could probably teach, because that's like a custom move for this game. It's in the original as well, but there's I think 2, maybe 3 moves that aren't in the Pokemon games but are in this game, and the Wide Slash is one of them. So maybe we could teach Wide Slash to Zoe. So keep that in mind. Just do a little bit of everything so that we can clear it up. Wide Slash. Damage on enemies on the 3 tiles in front of the user, diagonally in front. Yes, it does sound pretty useful. A little bit inaccurate. But we don't really need a Leah. Excellent. Actually, let's check if there's any gummies on sale. Maybe any TMs as well. Yeah, Gear Drain. Gear Drain could be useful, but we'll learn it eventually. Honestly, Absorb or Mega Drain might be better just for how much PP is in it. So we've got 2 gummies here. That's probably worth buying. So let's withdraw. Because what we want, right, is we want either gummies or we want 800 to buy gummies. And so we either want as many gummies as we can, or we want a lot of money in order to buy gummies and TMs. It does really add up the price over time. Because this refreshes daily. And so the gold ribbon that we're doing today, I think can be sold for 2,000, which is about 2.5 gummies. So while we're not getting gummies directly today, we are getting enough money to buy some. Do you want anything for Craig Coast? No. Get out of here with that. I'm sorry, but we can't help everyone, you know? Nice, good old attack increase. Excellent, now we're good to go. So, let's go get our money. Okay. I am actually liking that IQ skill, because... Oh, Thunder Shock, there we go. Destroyed. Because like... You know, we saw that there was one item in the entire floor, right? But we started in a very small room, and so it's not really worth going throughout the entire thing, you know? If this was like, say, Beach Cave, where the rooms are bigger, you know, getting one item on the floor is not as bad because you're probably going to find it. But here, it's not really worth exploring for the item per se. But there's the one item, it's an Owen Bay. Ooh. Oh, we already have Giga Drain. Duh. And Giga Drain just got stronger for us, which is great. Item on the floor, 4, which includes the money. Free Pokey. Really? It's whatever. No. Only the elite get into my team. Geo Pebble, Giga Drain, more Geo Pebble, that's it, alright. I mean, a Surfish would be cool, but no. Wait, what we can do is, this item is effectively useless, so we'll just toss it. Did we have an IQ skill about type effectiveness? No. Coin watcher. Huh. I guess that's something everyone has, so that might just be a thing of the romhack where you just get more money overall. Neat. Yeah, 5 items on this floor, but it's a pretty big one, you know? Hey Snowy, how's it going? Oh yeah, I wanted to give you a bit of an update about the trivia thing. So I wanted to go with people that didn't quite get around to karaoke. So I think... Yeah, I've already got 4 people. So you'll be a reserve member in case people can't make it, if that's okay. I just wanted to get people that weren't able to get into the karaoke. You know? And it's not really like an SPC event anyway, it's more like a collab thing, because like, it's more small scale, I guess. But I hope that makes sense. So I will contact you if like people aren't able to make it. And so you're on the like treadmill at the moment, or you kind of stopped that? I know you were saying that you're usually working out. See, I don't know what a good time for streaming really is. Right? Because like, as much as it really kind of sucks, you know, I kind of need to appeal to the American audience. Because there's just so much of them, you know? Something like cut out, are you doing karaoke command for newcomers that joined in the server? Like, no, so I'm talking about the trivia thing I'm doing. I wanted to have it for the people that couldn't make it to karaoke mod. You know, so you're kind of like a reserve member in case people can't make it at the moment. You know? Waiting for your next machine to open up. Interesting. Yeah, how long does it usually take? Like, how long do people usually work out for? Obviously I'm not, maybe not obviously, but I'm not a gym guy. Probably should be, but it's really hard given my kind of location, you know, very rural. So I don't really know gym culture or anything like that. Like how long it takes to, you know, do a training thing. There's our parasect. So, let's stun lock with a thunder wave. Always good start. And then go in with a fury cutter. There we go. Yeah, so I was just kind of saying that, I kind of need to appeal to the USA audience because, like, there's just so many of you, right? Like, Australia's got, I think, about 26 million or so people. And America's got, like, over 300. And even though our continents, or our countries are around the same size, you know, you've got way more people than us. Usually an hour for me, time to get at it. See ya. Oh, fair enough. I'll just be chatting and then you can kind of catch up later, you know? Yeah, like, there's a lot of Americans, and, you know, like, these platforms like YouTube and Twitch and stuff, they are pretty... Oh, we don't have... Oh, we do have an Apple. They are pretty catered towards the American audience. You know? Damn, where's these stairs at? Hey, Detro, it's been a while. How's it going? I don't want Gastrodon given a box. And so yeah, like, I'm thinking like maybe a bit later time for streaming might be ideal for people. You should probably be fine just with Giga Drains. There we go. Now to get our paycheck. Been busy, but taking a day for myself, that's always ideal, isn't it? And at least from my end, and I think you're on Ozzy as well, we got the Pokemon Presents. It's usually like, what, 11 PM or 1 AM for us on, you know, New South Wales time. So that'll be fun. It's probably not going to be worth it, but I'll watch it. Like, it takes a lot from Pokemon to really get into my good books nowadays. And if they're celebrating it, anything like how they did the Mario and Zelda and Donkey Kong anniversaries, then I'm not expecting much. Because, you know, they've had their own, you know, 40th and stuff as well, right? Like Donkey Kong and Zelda, you know, I think Metroid had a anniversary at some point recently, but they don't really do anything for us. And Mario doesn't really get much either, really. Like the 35th anniversary, we got the Mario 3D All-Stars, we got the Super Mario Bros. 35, both of which were limited time releases even though they were digital, so that's something. We got like a Mario Game & Watch and what, the 3D World and Bowser's Fury announcement? That was about it, right? But overall that wasn't really anything, because you had two eShop, well, not eShop exclusive, but you had two limited time things for their anniversary. And so if we're getting something like that for Pokemon, right, it might be like a limited time buy Pokemon Conquest, you know? You gotta wait until Pokemon Day next year and then that's the limit. No more Pokemon Conquest after that, you know? Like, who knows what they're gonna really give us. But I am a bit of a predicting man. So, I think we're going to get a bundle release of Pokemon Park 1 and 2. Because something like Pokemon Ranger, right? They would need to adapt to the Switch, which would be very annoying for them, so it's probably not going to happen, right? But if they're fine with doing the Wii games like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, right? Then they can probably do other Wii games like Pokemon Park. Right? And it's also a pretty convenient duo. It's not like you're having a like Pokemon Dash and Pokemon Conquest, you know, they're not like two separate games. It's like, you know, the first game and a sequel. So I feel like Pokemon Park is most likely. I don't think we're gonna get like a Miss Redemption trilogy or like a Ranger trilogy or anything like that. It'd be great if we got like Pokemon Conquest and... I'm just trying to think of like another standalone game that could be tied with it. Not many good ones, is there? I don't know, what about Pokemon Rumble. Yeah, maybe. Pokemon Rumble 1 and 2. We're not going to go with number 3. But 1 and 2 could work. Hey Moon, how's it going? Long time no see. I know it has been quite a while, you know, I've been waiting here about 25 minutes. How's it going? I'm just kind of giving my predictions about Pokemon Day. I think the most likely is going to be something like Pokemon Park 1 and 2. I just don't think any other kind of Pokemon game bundle is likely, given how Pokemon and Nintendo like to operate. I know I'm a bit of a pessimist, right? But I'm also a bit of a realist. Oh, it's good, just tired, haha. Yeah, it's all good, don't worry. We all chill here, you know? Super excited for Pokemon Day. I'm definitely on the fence. Modern Pokemon has a lot to really earn good faith with me, really. If I'm being honest, like, things like the prices and kind of the practices that Pokemon and Nintendo have been doing recently makes me really cautious. So I don't want to get my hopes too high up. I want to try and be realistic about what they're likely to do. But, you know, there is always hope, you know. Of course, I would like the next game to have things like voice acting and, you know, things like that. But I'm trying to see how accurate I can be, so I'm going to limit my expectations. That's super fair. I'm hoping I do something good considering the year. Yeah. But I am just kind of saying that, like, Nintendo doesn't have much of a good record with their other anniversaries. And even previous Pokemon anniversaries, right? Like, what did we get for the 20th anniversary? It's like the 3DS releases of Gen 1, right? Was that it? There might have been something else. I've been disappointed ever since they cancelled Pokemon Ranger, not gonna lie. If they ever bring that back, I'll be stoked. Yeah, I would love the Pokemon Ranger trilogy, because I played the first one, I haven't really played the second or third. I'd love them to have the Pokemon Ranger trilogy, but that, as you can imagine, that would require a fair amount of effort on their part to get it on Switch. But I'm thinking something like Park or Pokemon Park or whatever, because they're more willing to do Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Other Wii games like Pokemon Park should be more likely. You know, and it is a nice 1-2 combo kind of thing. It's not like, yeah, as I was saying, like Pokemon Dash and Pokemon Conquest, you know, they're not separate games. You def should play. I love a release of a new game, but yeah, I don't have my hopes up. Yeah. I feel like messed around with the second Ranger game, but I was emulating it, right? And I didn't really save, and then I got knocked out. I saved as I was getting KO'd, so that wasn't exactly ideal. I basically had to restart. I'm like, nope, not today. Pokemon Ranger is my fave. I love that way too much. Pokemon Park would be great. Yeah, I haven't played Pokemon Park, but Pokemon Ranger, I played the first one. Did you... Alright, since you've also played Pokemon Ranger, right? What did you think about that Settlements boss battle? I hated that. That was like the toughest thing in the game. Because like, you tap the screen, and it'll do like a screen-wide earthquake. And it's really hard. I think that's the reason why my original Nintendo DS touchscreen kind of got destroyed. Because like, you had to do it in one go, which I think the other Ranger games do better. Because they don't have to do all in one loop. You know, you can pause a little bit and I have it all progress. Which one? Like the first Pokemon Ranger. Yeah, the Settlements like trial thing. Well, you can't even like get Pokemon to assist you because it's a trial. You gotta deal with Settlements, and as soon as you touch the screen, it gets alerted, and there's like basically a full screen earthquake. You have to be really careful about where it starts. That way, like if it gets a corner, that way you can, you know, hide maybe. And then you have to be like really fast before it does it again. It's really rough. I know Ranger games were notorious for killing DS screens. The second and third games are better. Yeah, that's what I've heard, because you can start it and then you can pause a little bit without it like resetting. So I wish I had those Ranger games, but I had the first one, unfortunately. But yeah, I haven't played Pokemon Park, but I imagine that in terms of ease of like porting it over the Switch, it would probably be up there. I'm also thinking the Pokemon Rumble games. So, we're not going to go with the third one. The third one we just never talk about. But, Rumble 1 and 2, that could work. That could be good. Those are fun games. So I think story-wise, second Shadows of Almia is one of my fave. Yes, I haven't experienced it, so I hope it's good. You know, the story in the spin-off games are pretty good, I think. Especially this one. But Guardian Signs is super good, and I def recommend both. I see. Well, perhaps I'll need to get around to it sometime. And hello there, Mike. Your avatar is so cool. Thank you. I made it myself. Like, I, you know, took inspiration from, I think the spin-off game is like Pokemon Troze. But I recreated it using shapes in Paint. So, it took a bit to kind of get used to it, and like doing the eyes and the antenna, for example, but I got around to it. And I am thinking about changing up the bow tie a bit, maybe the top hat as well, because like the red and black pattern on the bow tie is really hard to see. So I'm thinking of just replacing with like an L and M, you know. And the top hat is just a rectangle. it's not much to write home about. I'm a weird Ranger superfan, but yeah, if you liked one at all, you should give them a try. Yeah, I definitely need to give that a bit more of a go. Not many of the spin-off games I haven't given a go yet, but the Ranger, those second and third Ranger games are ones that are on my list. But welcome in, Mike. Hope you're having a good day. You know, did this just get recommended to you, or are you searching around? You know, I'm always curious to see how people find my channel. You know. So Pokemon Nursery Dungeon wise, what do you recommend? I'm so bad at them. Alright, so I do not recommend the 3DS one. And there's two 3DS ones. Okay, let's start chronologically. So, first you get Red and Blue Mystery Dungeon on the Game Boy Advance and NDS respectively. They released at the same time, which was pretty cool. Either of those is fine. The version differences are like maybe a few quality of life on the DS, maybe if you're lucky. But other than that, it's like two families of Pokemon, like Phoebus versus Magikarp kind of thing. But overall, that's a pretty good, short and sweet adventure. Do recommend. Then, the second chronological games is Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. Sky is the enhanced version, so if you have to pick one of them, I would recommend Sky, which is what this ROM hack is based on. So, I guess spoilers if you're paying attention to what's happening on screen. I do recommend Explorers of Sky though. It's my favourite Pokemon game of all time, including of all the mainline games. And, personally, favourite game of all time. Across like everything else I've played. Like for me, gaming has not gotten any better after this game. it's been okay. Sure, like we've had some bangers, like, you know, Baldur's Gate 3. We've had, you know, Helldivers 2. You know, we've had like a lot of great games, right? But for me, it getting perfected at this one. So definitely recommend. Then you got Gates to Infinity on the 3DS. I do not recommend. I haven't played it, but from what I hear, it's not that great. You know, you got basically just the Unova Pokedex, which, you know, is okay. Like, there's about 200 Pokemon or so, but, you know, I kind of like it when they have all the Pokemon available, you know? So, and, I mean, play it if you really want to, but I probably don't recommend. And then Super Mystery Dungeon is a bit underrated. It's got some quirks to it that make it, I guess, unique. It's okay, but it wouldn't be my first choice, you know? Like, I can do, like, full reviews about each of them if you want, but it was okay. Like, it's not bad, but I wouldn't personally recommend it. And then you got the remake on Switch of the first game, so Rescue Team DX, and the base game is pretty good, so the remake is going to be okay as well. There's some quality of life things for and against it that really kind of shake it up, and some of those like things that they have changed I'm not the biggest fan of, so I would recommend it if nothing else, like if you want like something modern and available. But I'd probably go with the original over the remake. Don't think I've ever managed to finish one. Not because I wasn't invested, just because I'm super bad at it. I can give you the gameplay tips if you need it. Which one did you say was your top? Just want to make sure I heard right. This one. So, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky. Now, this is a quality of life kind of ROM hack. It's not like a difficulty ROM hack or anything. It's just a quality of life one. There should be a link to the page in the description. You know, you get a lot of nice quality of life benefits, but the original is still real good. So maybe if you're having difficulty with the gameplay aspect of it, the quality of life ROM hack might be for you, because it does change a fair amount. I can showcase some of it when next we're playing, you know? Like, in the dungeon. I believe we just... Yeah. But yeah, I can give gameplay tips if you need a bit of help. So, in order of, like, in order of never touch it to must play for Mystery Dungeon, I would say, Gates to Infinity, probably Super Mystery Dungeon, Rescue Team DX, Rescue Team Red and Blue, and then Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. That's what I will say would be the recommended, you know, list of them. I will just take you up on that. Fair enough. So I guess I'll be playing some Pokemon Ranger and you'll be playing some Mystery Dungeon. Should be fun. But yeah, like, you know, like, I do not recommend the 3DS ones, really. Like, they're okay, I guess, but anything other than on 3DS is probably going to be better. And what's actually cool about Explorers of Sky specifically is that the ROM hacking community isn't really a thing, but like there aren't really that many ROM hacks, right? But what people are able to do is that they're able to make their own story, their own dungeon kind of thing. And so instead of like getting a whole game of something, you'll get like basically a few dungeon chapter that are like a very tightly knit story. And so I wouldn't say no to, giving them a try. It'll just be like maybe 1 or 2 hours long kind of thing, and you'll just get to see someone's experience at storytelling, which is pretty cool. Looking forward to playing, and you trying Ranger. Yeah, I'll have to see how I go with that. But I am interested, sorry. I got a bit distracted. But yeah, definitely Explore the Sky. Even the original is really good. The quality of life is great, but it doesn't change anything about the story or, I guess, overall gameplay. It's just a few minor changes here and there. But they're really good changes. Like, this game has a really tightly knit story for Pokemon that, nothing really compares to it. People say that Black and White is a good story, or Scarlet and Violet has a pretty good one, but it doesn't compare to this one. I'm just being honest. It does not. I don't know, it's kind of weird that some of the best Pokemon games are the spin-off games. Mist Dungeon, Ranger, Conquest, Rumble. I'm gonna lurk for a bit while I run some errands and grab dinner, but enjoy your stream. Thank you. It's all good. Hope your dinner is very tasty. And yeah, I appreciate the luck. Maybe I'll just kind of chat and see what you pick up later on, But, thanks for stopping by. Oh, that's a really cool image of Dusknoir. Like, that's pretty cool, am I right? You don't get that in the original. So, ladies, I completely missed what you were saying about an event for a third time. Alright. So, I'm doing like a trivia thing for some of the people that did not make it to the karaoke. So, I want to try and include people that didn't make it to the karaoke in a new event. But it's not really like a wide scale kind of event, it's more like a small scale kind of thing. So, in case people are not able to make it, you will be a reserve member for the trivia. But I'd like to try and prioritize people that couldn't make it to karaoke for one reason or another. Get people more involved. And so, yeah, Moon, if you're kind of listening to this, I am getting there with the trivia. I'll probably work on it this weekend, trying to figure out how I'm gonna sort it out with the overlays and stuff. Or the presentation aspect of it. Because I can just ask questions, but figuring out how to do the visuals, that's the hard part. But I'll get there. So I hope, Sonny, that you got it this time. If I need to repeat, then I'll probably just send you a Discord message later. So yeah, I'm not... Like, for the Pokemon Presents, I'm not expecting much. Right? Like, maybe we get a Gen 10 announcement. Some people are predicting more ZA DLC. I don't really see that being a thing. But, you never know. So, probably a Gen 10 announcement. Maybe... talk more... Well, obviously talk more about the upcoming games and the mobile games and stuff. They'll probably do like a little announcement about the 5 Red Leaf Green stuff that we already know about, you know. Like, do you reckon that was the major surprise for the Presents? You know, like, maybe they had 5 Red Leaf Green as, like, in mind for the 30th anniversary as like a special little thing for people, right? And that's the major reveal. But it's already been kind of revealed to us, so I don't know what they're going to put in, you know? But it could be that, you know, 5 Red and Leaf Green was the main 30th anniversary announcement. I mean, it's possible. It's kind of expected, to be honest. Like, you know, if I was Pokemon and I'm like, you know what, we got a 30th anniversary, let's just put 5 Red Leaf Green on Switch. You know? Because, like, the 20th they did the 3DS Gen 1 remix, or Gen 1 ports, right? And so for 30th having the Gen 3 versions of Gen 1 for the 30th kind of makes sense when you think about it. You know, like if you're having Gen 1 on 3DS for 20th, then you're having Gen 3 version of Gen 1 on Switch for 30th. So I feel like the 5 Red Leaf Green is already their major announcement, that it was just kind of revealed early. Id Odd by ZA DLC Mega Dimension was not it. It Odd by another. Are you saying that you would buy another ZA DLC? But Mega Dimension was not it? Like, not worth it? I'm the one confused now about what you're saying. But yeah, from what I've seen, the ZA DLC was not worth it. It's basically like paying DLC, and then you need to grind in that DLC to do stuff. You are paying for grind. You know, like, if it's gonna be that expensive DLC, right? It's gotta be very streamlined, very user-friendly. You know, it's gotta be amazing. But when you make it into like a real grind to like get Pokemon and get shinies and stuff, and to just complete the storyline, you know, like, then it's not really worth it. Like, from what I've seen of it, it could have been just post-game content with the amount of story and stuff that's in it. But it's paid content that you still need to grind for. Like, consider this, right? IDT equals I don't think. So I don't think I'd buy another Z8. Ah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so you got Mega Dimension, but it was not worth it, eh? Fair enough. Because, like, think of it this way, right? In the ZA DLC, you can get Pokemon that are over level 100. But I think when you catch them, they're like, what, 20s or 30s or something? Okay, that's a bit weird because it's post-game content, right? So you need to have completed the main story. So what are you going to do with a level 20 Pokemon? Like, realistically, what are you going to do with a level 20 Pokemon when you've already completed the main game? I don't know, right? But then you'll be like, okay, well at least they're going to give me a bunch of good candies, right? You know, we want the XL candies. But I've seen that people get just the small candies. So not only do you have a low level Pokemon for the post game, right? But you also have small candies that just never, that aren't really effective, you know? Like, you would think post game candies must be at least XL. Maybe like they could have a DLC candy where it's like XXXL or something, right? A bunch of experience. But it's just getting small and medium is basically worthless. And I would not expect that out of paid DLC. Like paid DLC and you get treated like that? Oh boy. If it was free, maybe it would still be kind of scummy, but remember, this is post-game content. If this was available throughout the entire game, then I can imagine a case for having the smaller candies. But post-game content, you should only be getting the biggest candies. That's... I don't think I'm being crazy about that. Alright, let's store some stuff for later. I guess we're gonna eat the gummies now, but I kinda like them in the drink because they have a chance to give us more IQ and stuff. Because I think eating it as a drink guarantees that it will be boosting a stat. Aftermath on Drifloon is going to be annoying. Okay, so I'm going to go get myself a drink and maybe tissue, and then I'll come back and explain some of the quality of life for your moon. So, one sec. I'm back. Sorry about that. So, some of the quality of life. When you hold down the L button, you can have access to all your moves rather than just your set move, which really makes it easier rather than going through the menu all the time for your moves. You can switch to manual mode, which allows you to have full control over your partner. So you can split up if you wanted to. It would take a bit of time, but you could. Really useful for monster houses. When I go to walk towards my partner, normally in the game you would switch, but for me, I can push, or I can hold down the B button to switch. So those are some pretty good ones. Like in the later Mystery Dungeon games, the more you use a move, the more it will kind of level up and get stronger. Usually you would need to use an item called like a ginseng to increase the power of your move. But in this it'll just kind of level up the more you use it. I'm back as well. I went to get a drink and get myself a tissue because my nose is a bit stuffed. Oh no, we got a shiny ground pig. Hey Josh, Explorers Remixed. I still need to get around to this romhack. I have it downloaded, but free time is like these days. Love watching you play when I can. Yeah, I've been kind of distracted and stuff recently, so I haven't really been around to it. But you know, we're back today. But yeah, it is a good romhack, and I understand that you don't have much time because you're a recent father. So, well, I mean, you're still a father, but you're going through the cycle again, you know? You know what I mean. How is the little tyke going? All good. Always fun to have multiple projects at once. Yeah, so for me it was more the heat, making it really hard to sleep and have the energy to do stuff. Because it was, you know, it's still summer for me. And then I'm trying to sort out my internet a bit so I can do streams more often. I haven't fully figured that out yet, but I'm getting there. And then I also got a game recently on Steam, and so I've been playing that. So I've kind of been addicted, but the addiction's getting off now, so I'm back to working on content, you know? So, boom. I got you. Little tyke is good. Hitting that first growth spurt, so sleep has regressed a little bit, which tends to happen around this time, but otherwise he's doing great. Keeping things lively here. Excellent. Yeah, I have like no clue about the growth stages of babies. I know that they grow, but I just don't know how they grow. But it seems like you're well on top of it, so which is good. But yeah, for example, I've caught up a bit on my Pokemon links. So I've had 2 Pokemon links released this week, just to kind of catch up because I felt a bit guilty about not posting about it. The one I released like I guess within 24 hours, so it may not be yesterday for you. I kind of like that one. It's to do with Sinnoh, and it's a pretty good one, I think. But yeah, now that the heat's gone and I'm no longer addicted to a game, I can get into content a bit more. And some of us are thinking of reacting to the Pokemon Presents together as Discord. I imagine that some people would like to react, like create their own live stream and react to it that way. Which is something I could do. But I'm also fine to watch it as a community, you know? But yeah, glad to hear that your kid's doing well. I am... so, one thing, if you're still here... oh, sorry, hold on. One thing I was thinking about asking you guys when you were interviewing me was, with your kids, right? What kind of generation are you going to introduce them to? Like, are you going to introduce them to the modern generations, or are you going to go with the retro ones? Maybe you've already like introduced them, so. But you know, it is always curious to see, like, you know, what you would want your kid to have as their first Pokemon experience. Would you want them to have like Sword and Shield, or would you prefer them to have like Diamond and Pearl? You know. Yes, thank you. Once he sleeps longer and chews more, I'll feel more rested. But for now, it's still a little bit of survival mode. Yeah, I getcha. With how, I guess, like, helpless they are, you know, one wrong night could be a disaster. So I feel that. You know, if they get sick and you can't even hear them cry, you know, like, that can be rough. So, you know, every day is a new day. Gotta keep the strength up. But, hope it does well, you know. Fire Fang, great. Great question. I know Logan introduced the Switch games to his kids. I feel like that's a mistake, but, you know, it's whatever. He told me his oldest daughter was playing Sword. I'd love for him to play what I grew up playing first. What did you play first? Right, was it Gen 1 or Gen 2? Great. But considering we'll have a Switch and we'll have other games, it might be easier just to play the Switch titles, but I'd love to see him play a port of an old game, i.e. Fire Red Leaf Green. Well, you're just so happy that they come to the Switch. And you can pay 20 US American dollars for like a 40 megabyte ROM. Don't you feel happy about that? Oh boy. But yeah, assuming I'm able to fully preserve all my consoles and stuff, which isn't really gonna happen, I think Gen 3 or Gen 4 would probably be a good starting point for the kid. I feel like modern Pokemon, if they get too used to it, it's not gonna be too great. But if they get used to the old games, then I feel like that's not too bad. Because I think it's easier to go forwards in terms of Pokemon than it is to go backwards. It wouldn't have to get another apple. My first was actually Ruby and Emerald. Oh, well, okay. Your row had Sapphire, then I looked back to Blue, then Diamond released, then Platinum, Soul Silver, Black and so on. I see. I agree, I was thinking Gen 3 to 5, a good mix of classic vibes, but still looks really nice and plays smoother. Exactly. Gotta have them enjoy some of the old mechanics. Yeah, before they, you know, start hand-holding and making it super easy, you know, you gotta experience some of the hard parts. I'm not sure, so many traps. I'm not sure how many of the modern Pokemon fans will play the Fire Red Leaf Green and get past like Rock Tunnel or the Silph Co building. I'm not sure how many of them will really get through that, you know? Why does a guy's gotta have Thunder Fang and Fire Fang? Okay, so... yeah, so you did Gen 3 and then went back and forward. Did you play... I'm not seeing Gen 2 in that list, so did you skip over Gen 2? But for me, I kinda had Gen... it was mostly Gen 3, but I had Gen 1, 2 and 3 kind of at the same time, and I was just kind of cycling between them. But my first Pokemon game was, I guess, Pokemon Red. And I played Pokemon Gold, but I didn't really save, so I didn't really get too far in that. But had, like, you know, Emerald growing up as well. Sun and Monday TNs were 1 use only and HMs required. A move deleter. Ooh. I probably said that incorrectly, but yeah, I like the kind of sentiment. You know, like, get used to the old stuff before you move on to the new stuff. I think is a good way to go about it. So many goddamn glass cores. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, a lot of people, I guess, are modern Switch Pokemon fans, you know? Like, they started with, like, maybe Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee or something. And I guess they're okay, but I don't think they hold up as well as the original, like, 4 gens, first 5 gens, you know? Yeah, you never got Gen 2. Fair enough, but just how it happened to work out. Yeah, Gold Silver Crystal is good. I was gifted a blue cartridge, so I got my fix. First Gen 2 fix was Soul Silver and loved it. Yeah, that was kind of my thing as well, because the gold cartridge we had didn't really save, right? I'd be able to get like maybe up to Goldenrod, and then I'd have to, you know, turn it off for the night. So I only really got up to about Goldenrod, didn't really get to complete Gen 2 until Soul Silver came out. Then I was able to kind of experience it. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. It wasn't until much later that I actually played through Gen 2. And, you know, being able to have a Gen 2 team onto Pokemon Stadium 2 really added to my enjoyment of it. Because I could be like, alright, I gotta build a team. What team am I gonna build for Stadium 2, you know? So that made it more worthwhile to play for me. Like, if you're thinking about playing Crystal, I do recommend looking into Pokemon Stadium 2 and how to get it to be compatible. Because transferring your team, it feels really fun. What have you played the most? I played Hoenn. I don't know how many times, but I still love it. It is pretty easy to pick up and play, isn't it? Like, you just get really straight into it. So it probably is my most played. Like, Fire Red Leaf Green was also pretty easy to pick up and play. And so it was kind of fun just going for like a new game occasionally on that. But I do love like Gen 4, right? But in terms of how many times I've played for it, it's, you know, like one hand's worth, you know? But something like Fire Red Leaf Green, even though I didn't complete it, I still like booted it up in the new game, like well over a dozen times at this point. So, you know, I tackled a good handful as well. Kanto obviously also via Fire Red Leaf Green. I had Leaf Green and my bow had Fire Red. Fantastic remake for it being the Pokemon Company's first. I think it is a pretty good first remake, all things considered. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good one. I'd love to see a Stadium remake. I played a ton of Battle Revolution during Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum era. Yeah, I've got a video titled like, you know, we need a new Stadium game, and I think we really do. You know, like, I was talking to Viscount K-Dub, who basically just does Pokemon Stadium 2 content, and we're talking about like the mini games and stuff, and it's like, man, imagine if there was like a Pokemon Mario Party, you know? You have like Tinkaton, Whack-A-Mole, you know, you have like, there's so much minigame potential with all the Pokemon they have. Not to mention, like, you know, the library in Pokemon Stadium 2. That was effectively Bulbapedia before Bulbapedia was a thing. Like, you got info on every single Pokemon. You know, you didn't get the exact number for the base stats, but you got a pretty good representation. You got egg moves, you got TMs, you got evolutions, you know, egg groups, you know, like, a lot of that information you don't really get nowadays unless you Google it. So, just having like an in-game Pokédex that, you know, actually gives you information would be pretty useful. 30 islands were just such an incredible addition to Fire Red Train, hitting the first few islands after Cinnabar if desired, and then 4 more islands post next with new encounters. So good. Personally, I didn't really know that much about the post game of Fire Red Train, so whenever I did play it, I just kind of beat the league, got Mewtwo, and then that was it. I didn't really experience the 7 islands. I guess I just didn't really pay attention, but for me, they were still good remakes, even without the 7 islands. And that would explain why I was wishing that there was more post-game content. I guess the 7 islands is there, you know. The Bulbapedia progenitor, yep, exactly, like, with Gen 2, you can go through Pokemon Stadium 2's library and learn everything you need to know about building a team. You know, egg moves, TMs, evolutions, base stats, you get it all. But in nowadays, you don't get that. You have to look up online. Like, in, let's say, Scarlet and Violet, do you know how to find an egg move for a Pokemon? Like, without Googling it, do you know how to find egg moves for Pokemon? Exactly. Like, you just don't get that info. And so, like, without the internet, I don't know how people find out about egg moves. Like, maybe you get lucky with, like, one egg move, right? But how are you gonna learn what kind of moves they can learn? Really? Like, I just don't really see how. And I guess also base stats. You don't learn about that in-game, do you? You know, you can like look at your stats and be like, man, why does my Blissey not have any attack or anything, right? But you won't really understand why. You know, and the combination of like IVs and EVs, meaning that, you know, Pokemon will have different stats, right? You might be wondering, okay, well maybe my Blissey is a bit weak, maybe it's a bit sick. If I catch 15 different Blisseys, maybe one of them will have good attack stat. But no, because like it's part of the base stats, and they don't tell you about the base stats in the game. Which is really weird. I don't know, like, if we're having a Pokédex, a high-tech encyclopedia, I feel like a lot of the information on Bulbapedia should be part of the Pokédex, you know? Like, maybe you have to fill it out, right? Maybe it doesn't tell you about Pokemon until you evolve them or get them to a certain level to know what moves they learn, kind of thing, you know? Maybe there is some kind of requirement. But knowing things like what they can learn, what their abilities and hidden abilities could be, you know? I don't see why that's not part of the high-tech encyclopedia. The Pokemon Index, the Pokédex. If it's so high-tech, why is something like that not in it? Really makes you question, eh? I'm just going on a bit of a rant at the moment. So, long story short, I would like a new stadium, or even just a remake, you know? I'll take really anything at this point, but Pokemon Champions is not it. I've got an entire video talking about how much I hate Pokemon Champions. It's definitely not the way to go. I would take a Pokemon Stadium over Pokemon Champions. They are not the same. I'm actually kind of curious of how much, pay to play or pay to win Pokemon Champions is going to be. There's no way it's free, right? Let's be honest. There's no way they're going, the Pokemon company, Nintendo of all people, there's no way they would be so consumer friendly to have a online server throughout the entire world without someone paying for it. Now, who's more likely to pay for something that they are releasing? Is it A, them, or B, us? I'm just saying that there's definitely going to be something to offset the cost. It's a real emotional moment, so I'll save my rant for later. Right, back to renting. No way, they never would, exactly. Also, if you ever play Free Fire or Ukraine again, I highly recommend a nice casual playthrough so you can enjoy the post game. Generally tons of content. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna try that. I've heard about the Jersey encounter, and I think you can get Moltres in one of the islands, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta get around to it. But people are like, oh, but on the website it says, it's no, it's free to play or whatever, or there will be no cost to it. And it's like, yeah, but they say that about Pokemon Unite, and you pay for cosmetics basically. I mean, you can pay for Pokemon to kind of shortcut it, but you don't need to. But you definitely have to pay for the majority of the cosmetics. And so, they're going to have some kind of payment for Pokemon Champions. And even if they didn't, right? If they're like, you know what, it's actually free, don't even worry about it, right? I'd like to direct you to Crash Team Racing. It was, a paid once game, a paid game that you play, right? Then later on in its, life cycle, they've changed it so that it's now got microtransactions in it. They didn't have to change anything on the box or anything. They already got people to pay for the game, but then later on they added in microtransactions. And so legally they might be like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to make it so that you don't need to worry about paying for Pokemon Champions, right? And everyone will be happy, But then later on, they could be like, well, guess what? We're going to add in microtransactions now. And, that's going to be it. Sevi Islands plot is actually a cool post-game. And there's also a plot by Team Rocket based in Sevi Islands. It deals with Pokemon evolution. Interesting. I am always a big fan of Pokemon evolution. So I will have to check that out. Maybe in the spirit of things, I'll play Fire Red and Leaf Green. Probably not on Switch though, because I can't record on Switch. Alright, we'll switch to manual mode for this. Great points on the microtransactions. Especially if related to the Johto Rocket plot. Johto Rocket. That's Ultra Sun, right? We want... Yeah, Shadow Core should be fine. Yeah, I got an entire video kind of ranting about Pokemon Champions, and I cover a lot of the same topics that I was just talking about. It's an interesting rant, but I'm curious to see how correct I am. Facing the wrong way. You know, because like you see people are like, oh, but you know, they're saying it's going to be free, and it's like, let someone that's actually cynical about Pokemon give you the predictions. You know, like, who's more likely to be correct? Someone that's a bit more of a realist about Pokemon, or someone that's wishful thinking? You know, good old hopium versus copium content. And so, I think we'll see with my predictions for Pokemon Presents how correct I am. Because I think my predictions are pretty realistic, all things considered, in terms of what they're going to reveal. Oh, what is this? Scope lens. Oh, hello. That's something we can hold on to for now. Yoink. I don't know, it's just like Pokemon and Nintendo definitely does not have the good faith to have a free game without any kind of microtransactions. Like, hello, this is Pokemon and Nintendo. Are we talking about the same people here? Like, if there's anyone that's concerned about microtransactions, it's, you know, I mean, it's not only them, but they are pretty greedy with it, aren't they? You know, they'll say anything to... hang on. Like, they'll say anything to get good favor, right? They got rid of gambling in the Pokemon games. Ooh, agility! That's a good one. In case of emergency, agility. Ooh. Maybe we don't need Shadow Claw. Alright, so they got rid of gambling in Gen 5, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, cool. They think of the children. But think of it this way. They've had Pokemon Masters EX where you have gadget elements to get, you know, the training Pokemon combo, right? Isn't that gambling? They've also got the TCG where the entire thing is trying to get your favorite card, right? As in, there is an element of luck to it. So, is it really too much of a stretch to say that they would promise one thing and then kind of go against it? Like, if they were anti-gambling for real, right? There wouldn't really be a TCG market for them. There wouldn't be much mobile content for them. The fact that there is such content means that their whole stakes about, you know, gambling in Pokemon is a very flimsy argument. I plan to actually have an essay talking about this topic at some point, but like, if they were really concerned about it, they could do more for it, you know? But speaking of gambling, in Pokemon, the Fire Leaf Green, if they are just a basic ROM being uploaded, they're gonna have the game con, aren't they? Now, that puts them in a bit of a bind, doesn't it? Because they could change that. They could change it so that it isn't a game corner. But then if they're putting in effort to change some things about it, then they're under scrutiny for not changing other things to make it more up to standard, aren't they? However, if they don't change the game corner, then all of a sudden they're going to have gambling in a kid's game. Now, isn't that quite the predicament? So you're choosing between going back on your morals or being open to being very lazy about their ports of games. Because realistically, right, if they're changing one thing about, like, you know, the game corner, then they can change other things, you know? They can make it so that the event Pokemon are just part of the post-game. They can, you know, make it so that you have a rewind button or save states, you know? Like, they could, hear me out, they could have multiple saves on a single profile. Something every other JRPG does. But Pokemon can't have multiple saves, so it's whatever, I guess. But they've either got to decide, do we want to censor the game corner and be open to scrutiny, or do we want to keep the game corner so that we don't have to do anything, but kind of go back on our so-called morals about gambling? So it's going to be very interesting about which way they choose. You know, the tree's going to fall, but which way is it going to lean? I'll never say no to an Ombre. Ooh, that's a really cool little Raichu spread. Really cool. I don't know, like, am I spitting facts or am I just ranting? I just don't really see how people are really excited for Fire Leaf Green on Switch. You know, like, no online. Pokemon Home compatibility is up in the air at this point. You've got no confirmed mystery gift Pokemon, like the Deoxys event or like Mew, for example. Like, that's not guaranteed. There's no quality of life, like save states or speeding up. There's probably not going to be like anything like XP share at all, you know? I mean, I think that is technically in Kanto, but, you know, from the start and turned on kind of thing. You know, And as far as we know, it's basically just a, what, 20, 40 megabyte ROM. That's just no changes. In fact, no, they did make a change. They made it so that you can't have the languages on one game. All the languages. It has to be a separate transaction to get different languages. So if you wanted to play in French, you gotta buy the French version. You can't buy the English version and then switch to French. Same for Japanese and Spanish. You know, like if you want to play it in a different language, you have to pay $20 again. And like, how many people are really going to do the local wireless to trade and do battle? Realistically. How many people would go to their friend's place to trade for a 20-year-old game? 23-year-old game? I don't know. I don't know the exact date, but over 20 years old game. Are you really going to be like, oh man, bring your Switch, we're going to go to this party and then we're going to finally evolve Alcadabra. Yay! Like, who's realistically doing that? Or, oh man, I'm going to have a, competitively battled, I'm gonna build up a competitive team and then go to a tournament so we can all play Fire Red Leaf Crane tournament matches. It's like, at that point you may as well just go like on Pokemon Showdown or something. I don't know, so like, I just don't really see who would be interested in paying $20 for this. If it was like $3, great. If it was free, even better, you know? I knew it! I was thinking, are they gonna make it shiny? Are they gonna make it shiny? And they did. Bit of a coincidence, but my Pokemon Fury yesterday was about Spiritomb. So if you want to check that out, Pokemon Links episode 34. Hey. Nice. Not nice. Ouch! Alright, Zenzabine. Alright, we got good old Thunder Wave to paralyze. Doing good, doing good. Hey, not as hard as as the Leafeon encounter, but you know, we'll take it. It's got a very nice shiny. And I like that technically we weren't even fighting at full power because it was trying to contain Leafeon here. So, you know, the battle would have been a little bit tougher if it had all of the spirits. I didn't think that they would be happy about that line. I thought it was more of a like kind of like maybe not happiness, but like almost like a sarcasm kind of thing, or like a questioning kind of look. I didn't like interpret that line growing up as more of a happy thing, because that makes them seem a bit more airheaded, you know? And I thought it would be like, oh, so you thought about, you know, having me along? Not like, oh, you thought about having me along, did you? It was like, there is definitely a difference. So, that is an option I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's whatever. See, like, for me, like, Grover was never really excited or happy. He was more cynical and questioning, you know, able to be more on the dire side of it. He wasn't really excited, you know? And here, you can see that he's, like, cringing, as if he's, like, you know, ashamed of being happy. But, you know, in the original, because, like, there's no images for this, right? You're imagining it. And to me, it always felt like Grover was, yeah, more cynical, more questioning. And then here he's just like, alright, well, I guess I'll tell you. Kind of thing, like, clearing the throat, being like, alright, I guess we're having a conversation kind of thing, you know? And so, like, that face is, like, worried, right? But for me, it was more like, kind of like a raised eyebrow, like, you know, kind of cocky, I guess. I don't know, like, am I interpreting it wrong? Because, like, Grover, for me, was always more stoic, more cynical, you know, more pragmatic. He wasn't really, like, an excited but lonely person, you know? I don't know, like, is that just me? But, before we get too much further, that is going to be it for today's stream. So, I would like to thank everyone for watching. We've had some interesting talks today, talking about the Pokemon Presents, talking about Fire Red Green, Pokemon Stadium, you know, like there's been some interesting minutes that we've had today. But also some good gameplay. So, I think, good stream overall. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.